What's going on, guys? Today we're going to have a brief look at the uranium story, what stocks have moved and why, as well as what could potentially move in the future. Now, GTR here is kind of one of the big uranium stocks that have moved in the last few weeks, and then we've got AGE as well. Now, these are two speculative stocks. AGE is about 10 million market cap, and GTR at the moment is sitting somewhere around 18 million, I think. So I was watching this stock here at around 1.4, 1.5 cents. I didn't buy into it because I had no real interest in uranium. It's kind of had an ugly history on the ASX and it's never really been that great. I think I've traded it once in the last 6 years and it had like a 1 week boom. So I was expecting something similar. Unfortunately for me, it kept rallying and it was around this time here, somewhere at the highs, that I thought, well, something's actually happening that's possibly important. So I'll have a look at what actually caused this move. And same thing with AGE. So Trump announced that they're going to look at getting uranium reserves with about a $1.5 billion budget over the next 10 years. But the interesting thing was that it was just direct purchases from domestic producers. So that kind of took my interest away from uranium. I wasn't too interested because, well, what's Australian uranium got to do with anything? Well, it turns out the spot price jumped a nice 40%. And that's really enough of a reason to trade any commodity. If gold is booming, will trade gold. If silver's booming, I'll trade silver. And in this case, uranium's booming, and I was a little bit late to the party, but I thought, you know what? I know for a fact that there are more than 2 stocks out there in the microcap space that work on uranium, or at least have some sort of uranium tenement. So of course, I'm not going to buy these stocks at the highs. There's no point. The risk is increased and the profitability is decreased. So I thought, if there's one thing I know about the ASX speculative space, is that punters are lazy or they don't know how to research. I don't know which one it is, but I have a feeling it's a combination of both. So I took it upon myself to have a quick peruse around and I spotted POW. I bought in at around 0.006. And the reason I did that was because I was browsing around and it probably took me about a whole 5 to 10 minutes to find this stock. It's called POW. I came across their quarterly, and it turns out that they own 50% holding in Stonehenge Korea Limited, which Stonehenge was a previous name that this company was called, so it was SHE was the previous stock ticker, and they own 50% of this company, and it's a joint venture between this DST company, which I found out is a 30 million market cap equivalent, and SHK owns 100% of the rights to 3 projects in South Korea. Now keep in mind, Protean, or POW, owns a 50% holding of Stonehenge. So Stonehenge owns 100% of these projects down here. And it really doesn't tell you much, except that it's uranium and vanadium. Now this company heavily focuses on vanadium as of late, so you can see why no one's really spotted this company and found its value. So I just quickly Googled Daejeon 77013. And I came out with this announcement from 2013-ish. And it turns out that they've got a deposit, or this Daejeon project has 65 million pounds of a JORC 2004 resource. So as a JORC code resource, it's got some confirmed drilling, so they actually have a resource. And it was this little line here that I thought was interesting because I don't know much about uranium, so I don't know how much 65 million pounds is, but it's a 25% supply of South Korea's domestic uranium, so that sounds reasonably significant to me. Now what I did was I posted my research on Twitter. And it wasn't that significant. I just looked at the financials. It was a 1.5 mil market cap, which is very low. I had $900,000 cash and it was barely burning any cash every quarter. And that was it really. And it sort of just took off from there. So I just posted the reasons of why I bought a stock. It got some attention and I noticed very quickly it spread all over Hot Copper. So good research spreads. Now, this stock moved up 50%, and it was a nice little profitable trade. Now, I didn't get all 50% out of it, but I did make 2 nice trades on it, and I sort of moved on from there. Not too interested. So keep in mind that this company has £66.7 million, but only a 50% ownership of that. So then I moved on and I thought, you know what, maybe there's some more stocks out there. So I had a look at ACB. Now ACB was interesting because it's actually on a downswing for some reason. I don't really know why. There's been some heavy selling volume, but there hasn't been any news announcements. There hasn't been anything that really has come out to suggest a justification for this selling. It just seems like some major holder wanted out, and so they got out. So this stock is sitting at, if I just check the market cap, it's around 7.8 million market cap. Now, I bought in at 1 cent earlier today, and it was on the back of the research that these guys own this difficult to pronounce uranium project. Again, there was no mention of what this project was in terms of grades, and this is where people kind of just stop and don't bother continuing the research. It's kind of just laziness. But a quick Google will show you that ACAPS Uranium, they appear to own 100% of it. I can't see anywhere that they have a joint venture or it's split ownership. To my understanding, this is 100% ownership. And it's one of the world's biggest undeveloped uranium deposits. Now, straight away, I didn't really think much beyond, I'm just going to buy this. Just purely based on reading this. I instantly bought the stock the moment I read this sentence here. Now, if I scroll down, we go to the mineral resource. The interesting thing is if we compare the pounds, how many millions of pounds of uranium there is, compare that to POW, which is sitting at around, I believe, just under 3 million market cap at the moment. Now, keep in mind they own 50% of that 66 million pounds. So we can look at that and say they've got a exposure to 33 million pounds as a company. That's how I would view it. So these guys have 11 times that resource, and they're worth 7.8 million market cap. So they have 11 times more uranium, but are only worth 2 times POW's market cap. So what I saw there is a significant amount of value. Now, whether that actually eventuates into a trade, whether this stock goes from 1 cent to 2 cents, I don't know. It's hard to tell what's happening or what can happen in the speculative space. So if we open up the chart, now it seems apparently achievable to head to the 1.9 cent range. That's kind of where it's been cruising since April. It's had a sell down for whatever reason. And then volume has come back in today, and we've had about $100,000 worth of buying today. And it seems to be starting a reversal. Now, this is the kind of stock that I buy into. Now, I'm not going to ride the wave of GTR. I'm not going to try and buy some highs and hope it keeps going higher. And same thing with AGE. I'm not going to buy when something's already moving. I would prefer to do my own research and find a stock that no one else has really spotted. That way, I'm getting the equivalent of the lower end of the market, or at the bottom end of the market. Why would I buy GTR, some sort of uranium stock that everyone else already knows about, and risk my capital unnecessarily, when I can just shop for stocks like POW that hasn't really moved and catch a nice 33% ride? Or catch a stock like ACB that is not only selling down, but is starting to look like a reversal based on volume and the chart. So that's what I see in this company, and that's what I see in this uranium space. Now, it's hard to say how long this uranium pump will last for. How long will uranium be hot for? Honestly, it's difficult to say. I don't know. I don't know if uranium stocks are going to keep booming for the next month or two. I don't know if it's already stopped today and today was just the end of it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but as long as the uranium price keeps swinging to the upside and it doesn't dip back down, then I don't see any reason why uranium stocks will stop pumping. As long as this momentum continues and as long as there are stories to be found, and keep in mind that's all this is. This is all that I've found is stories. These are stories about uranium stocks. I don't believe there's any fundamentals in GTR. I don't believe there's any fundamentals in AGE, POW, or ACB. I don't think there's fundamentals in any microcap stock. If you know anything about my style of trading microcaps, it's about the story. So do keep in mind that none of the stocks that I've talked about today is a recommendation to buy or sell, whether it's ACB, POW, GTR, or AGE. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. This is simply a perspective of the current uranium moves that are happening on the market.